Join us as we delve into the significance of Juneteenth, its historical context, and the personal experiences celebrating this vital part of American history. In our Make Me Wanna Holler segment, the fellas' conversation touches on conflict in the Middle East. To wrap up our Save the Children, the fellas emphasize the importance of democracy and the active participation among young people. I'm Thomas Corley with Keith Pickens and Michael Miller. This is the What's Going On podcast. Thank you for listening. What's going on, Keith?
What's up, TC?
What's going on, Mike Miller?
Hey, TC. Hey, Keith. How you guys doing?
What's on, Mike? Everything's good.
So, fellas, upon us is Juneteenth. Now, I don't know a lot about Juneteenth, so I'm expecting us to figure it out together as if we were sitting in a barbershop. Explain to me, Lucy, Juneteenth. So, Columbus, 1492, right?
That's what they say.
That's what they say. Slavery began lasted approximately 400 years, right?
Right. 400.
So then slavery trade was 1692, right?
Yeah.
1619.
1619.
1619.
Yeah, 1619, yeah.
Yeah, we really in the barbershop. We don't have our facts right.
You're right.
Oh, yeah. Go with it, my friend.
So then you had the Native Americans enslaved into about 1750.
Mm.
And then shortly after that, South America, they have independence.
Okay.
All right, that's what happened. The whole slave trade came to the Americas, both North and South.
Absolutely.
Right? All right. And then politically, they finally got their designation for freedom, I guess you'd say 1852. Now, the emancipation wasn't until 1863 here in the continental United States.
Correct.
And then 1865 is when the last state, Texas, found out that they were free slaves or free people.
Nice slow crawl to Texas 2 years later.
Now, the explanation they gave is that there were no union representation in Texas.
Okay.
So that's why the word didn't get out. That's what I read. So I don't know.
I'm sure those were parts of it.
Right.
2 years.
Yeah. So, Mike Miller, you had the opportunity to experience it here locally, a celebration for it. Tell us a little bit about your experience.
It was wonderful. It was a celebration of American history. That's what Juneteenth is. It's American history. And this was a celebration of American history. I was in Benton Harbor, Michigan, and we'd like to go there and have fun because of the beach. If you've never been to the state of Michigan, Benton Harbor, St. Joe, South Haven, Muskegon, anywhere along the shoreline of Lake Michigan, you can't go wrong. So if you come in here to visit, come to visit. That's my Pure Michigan plug there. So anyway, but the Benton Harbor celebration was, it's small town America, and that's exactly what it was.
Definitely, yeah, small town. You're right. Absolutely.
Small town. Mm-hmm. They had a relatively big parade. It was about 50 entrants into the parade, and it ended at the park downtown, where they had all the vendors, and they had a ceremony, commemorating, what went on, and, the emancipation 2 years after Lincoln had actually freed the slaves. It was great, man. I can't do it justice. And that's what we focused on. It was a focus on the Juneteenth celebration. It wasn't anti-anything. Let's start with that. Okay. It wasn't anti-anything. Okay. It was a focus on American history, and that's what it is. Okay. American history, Black history is American history, and that's part of American history. And that's a good part of American history. No reason not to celebrate that.
Was there any guest speakers?
Just locally, no. You know what? They did have boots on the ground.
Oh, no goodness.
Yes, they did. And I want to say the guy that was there had something to do with the song. That I remember.
Oh, okay.
He had something to do with the song. Anyway, they had teaching people how to do the dance. And it was fun. That's all I can tell you.
Well, that's how we celebrate. Black folks celebrate, partying, a little bit of
like?
servers.
Typical hamburgers, hot dogs, They did have some vendors with some sweets, a lot of sweets.
Okay.
But I didn't see any barbecue ribs or nothing like that. No soul food, nothing like
soul
that.
food.
It wasn't quite that big of a celebration.
Okay.
There were several food trucks. The Qs were there, the Kappas, the Qs, the AKAs, and the Deltas were all there.
Mm-hmm.
They had their tables set up,
Mm-hmm.
showcasing, Black Greek history. And it was great. It was a really nice celebration. We stayed there.
Right. Were there any politicians there? Local politicians?
No, other than the mayor of Benton Harbor. No other politicians were there. No,
Okay.
just the mayor. I didn't expect any of the politicians to show, given the climate. You know what I mean? They got to be careful with what they show. And I understand that. I understand what they're trying to do. But the mayor was there. Mayor of Benton Harbor was there. He was cool. He read a nice proclamation.
Okay.
He read a really nice proclamation and did a really good job. The guy with the line dance instruction did a good job. So it was a good celebration. They had a lot of different vendors there, and we had a good time. A lot of different giveaways, just different things. But again, it was small town America. Got to remember that.
Right.
It was city America. It was small town America. It was small town celebration, but it was a lot of fun.
Okay.
So, can't go wrong that way.
Did they have any speakers to remind people what it was all about?
That was the mayor.
Proclamation? Okay.
Yeah. He read what Juneteenth was all about. 2 years after the end of the Civil War, word finally reached Texas that the slaves were free.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't remember him giving a specific reason why it took so long. But, it did whatever it was. We were fine. All of the continuous United States were all finally free people.
Right.
That is what the focus of the Juneteenth celebration is, and that is part of American history.
Mm-hmm.
So, no matter what happens going forward, not going to be able to take that away.
Well,
was any one of you guys familiar with Juneteenth prior to 2021?
A little bit.
Yeah. I mean,
yeah, I was. But
I've never heard the phrase before.
Yeah. I had heard the phrase before. I had some familiarity with it. I'd seen people wear and sell various T-shirts. Knew some friends who celebrated it. So yeah, I had knowledge of it. I'm happy that Biden thought enough of the holiday. I mean, enough of the day to make it a holiday, because I understand Texas in particular, but there were other cities and states that did make it a local holiday, but it was Biden who decided to make it a national holiday in 21. It's become more of a cause for celebration. In fact, Tiffany and I were supposed to go to my niece's house tomorrow for a Juneteenth celebration. But unfortunately, last minute, it got canceled. She sent out a notice with apologies that she had to cancel it. She had something similar last year. And so, now that it's a national holiday, we, I think, embrace it more. We celebrate it more, obviously. People who are able to take a day off work or get a day off work, whatever the situation is, it gives you cause to really focus on it and celebrate it. I've got a couple of different thoughts about it. Not that I want to make it anything negative. It's not, but it's just, it's a little suspect, considering that it wasn't that the Confederates or even some of the people in the Union necessarily embraced emancipation. And so there's definitely no reason to make haste in terms of spreading it west for people. And unfortunately, those people in Texas had to suffer through it, an additional 2.5 years. And at that point, when they were emancipated, they did, from what I understand, begin to celebrate it with regularity that very next year, which was 1866, and have full events. And apparently in 1979, they made it a holiday in Texas. And it only took, you do the math, 40 years for it to be embraced nationally. But yeah, I think that it's worthy. Like Mike said, it doesn't have to be anything negative. I think it's worthy of celebration. I think it's wonderful to acknowledge, because even though it came a little late, it came. And we should all embrace it and acknowledge it as a part of our history. Because to Mike's point, Black history is American history. And even though there's an individual trying to erase every facet and circumstance, and I hear whispers about potentially trying to do away with Juneteenth, it's something that people in the United States are now aware of. And like Mike said, you can try, but you really can't take it away. So
Right.
It's important.
In Texas, a Confederate state where there was no large Union Army presence, slavery continued years after the Emancipation Proclamation. And even after the 13th Amendment was passed by Congress on January 31, 1865, as many enslaved people in the state were not aware of the news.
Mm-hmm.
Finally, in June of 1865, Major General Gordon Granger and the Union troops landed in Galveston, Texas, to tell the enslaved African Americans living there that the Civil War had ended and they were now free. So that was even after the Emancipation Proclamation.
Mm-hmm.
Texas was like, we don't care what they say.
Right.
Right.
It is what it is. They can do everything they can to try and do away with it, but it's not going to fly. It's part of American history, and in my book, it's always going to be part of American history. If they want to take it out of history books, then we'll just teach it ourselves. That's the bottom line.
Right. The thing that amazes me, though, when I was going through those dates, those years of things, the independence that took place in South America, and then how the Native Americans had all these treaties. They had like 300-something plus treaties with the United States because I guess they were considered a sovereign state.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then the article kind of went also to say that 15 of those treaties were broken by the United States, which just doesn't surprise me. But the fact that they weren't enslaved as long as we were enslaved. I mean, so that was eye-opening because I kind of thought because when I was thinking about doing this episode, I was like, wait a minute, the Native Americans, how come they weren't enslaved from day one when Christopher got everybody? They weren't. They also were a tool for exploring the continent of the United States, the northern part.
Absolutely.
And then also, as far as the fur trade and all that kind of stuff. So I guess that was a situation they were a part of. Mm-hmm. And they were able to escape a lot, according to what I was reading. Okay. So they couldn't hold them down.
They knew the lay of the land.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah. 100%. Yeah.
You can try if you want to.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. But I mean, for the most part, Tom, to use phraseology from Malcolm, they were bamboozled and hoodwinked, right? Because they thought they were benefiting, but they were really being taken advantage of. So even if they weren't physically enslaved to an extent, they were mentally enslaved, right? Because they ran real deep.
Yeah.
Really ended up where everything was taken from them.
Right. And then sickness was part of it too, because the population wasn't growing.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess at that point, that's when they decided to go to another continent and bring folks back.
Okay.
And hence, that's where we come in at.
Right.
Yeah. So, got this combination of doing Make Me Want to Holler and Save the Children because this unnecessary bombing of these places, man, just drives me crazy.
Yeah.
You've got Israel bombing in Iran. I mean, and the thing is, these bombs don't appear to be militarily, strategically dropped.
Right.
I mean, you're seeing apartment buildings come down. You're seeing neighborhoods being destroyed. Yeah. And that whole Gaza thing is nothing but a parking lot now.
Oh, yeah.
And then there's no hollering and screaming for aid to get into Gaza. It's being held back. I mean, we're not screaming and yelling at Israel, and neither are the other countries screaming and yelling. And I just can't understand that people are starving.
Well, you may be more in tune than myself, Tom, but not that we know. Obviously, we know that we're not, because we typically embrace whatever they want to do. We're connected at the hip, and I don't mean that to come across in a negative way, but if Israel is doing it, we're typically supporting it. And so the shame of it is nobody looks at the human aspect of it. Like you said, it's not that they're taking on military zones or being strategic. They're killing people like me and you.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
it's just really sad. They're denying them power, heating and cooling, and obviously food where they're being starved. It's really just a sad situation, man. And I think about the United States and how blessed we've been for years. Obviously, not taking into account Hawaii, but in our lifetime, we haven't had to deal with the threat of war. To even imagine just going about your business, whether you're shopping or
Can't
it's
comprehend it.
incomprehensible. How much fear can you imagine they're living in, not knowing at any moment that their lives can be taken or their homes can be destroyed or their children can die from hunger? It's really just a travesty, man. Nobody is making any noise about it. Nobody is really doing anything to make it come to an end.
Yeah.
Well,
I'm fearful that we are creating future terrorists or future people that are going to hate the United States. And they're going to do what they can, whether they're psychologically sound or unsound. They may have lost their parent or family member or disfigured themselves, and they're just going to take out their rage.
Yeah.
Netanyahu, it seems like he's trying to just total elimination.
Yeah.
And
that's his game plan. He's kind of taking a page out of Russia's playbook in Ukraine, just totally annihilate those folks. And there's no compassion, man. That's the sad part. War, for all intents and purposes, we've always had war.
Right.
But the threat of nuclear annihilation has kept it at bay from a large scale. I understand Israel's excuse in terms of being neighbors to Iran and worrying about them having, nuclear weapons, but to just totally devastate a city without any, I guess when you look at strategy, they tried to bomb the scientists and the places where they're making these bombs. But even with that, without any regard for human life and the citizens on the ground. And so that's for me, that's a make you want to holler moment, because it's just, it's unnecessary by all accounts as far as I'm concerned. It's got to be better. It's got to be a different way.
It got to be. I read, when I was in the military, there was a book that Colin Powell put out. It was basically a military guidebook. I just happened to get a copy of it. I don't remember how I got a copy of it, but I read it. And one of the things in there that stuck with me is that he said, and of course I'm paraphrasing, he said that the wars that we've had are wars where people are in uniform. The future wars we're going to have, the people are not going to be in uniform. So you're not going to know who the enemy is. And then the other thing is that it could actually take place on any street corner, basically.
Absolutely.
Just like a fight can break out. Any part of the country, it could just break out. And we just have no clue who our true enemies will be in that future war. I thought that was interesting. It stuck with me.
Yeah. I think that short of really trying to keep a lid on that, the potential with this country being a melting pot has always been there. When you look at 9/11, when you look at the bombings that's caused devastation on what would be considered a small scale, many lives were lost. When you have people from other countries who have concerns, it's not as if we're natives, although we were born here, our forefathers were brought here. It puts you in a state, where's your loyalty at the end of the day? You come here for opportunities and so forth, and you come here with a semblance of peace and not having to worry about some of the things that the people you left behind have to worry about. Yet you still have a loyalty and allegiance to your native people. And to that end, Tom, like you said, at any point, somebody can come up with a plan to do major damage. I really think that, because it's always going to be unbeknownst to the population, to the public, I really think that there are always plans being hatched, but it's just a matter of, can the individuals pull them off, or can they get beyond the radar of the FBI or the CIA or whatever government agency is paying attention. But I think the threat is always going to be out there, and even more so now because from the standpoint of being on an island, we've been so disrespectful of our allies that who's going to want to support us anyway? You know what I'm saying? Who's going to want to fight with us anyway?
Yeah.
Good God. What is it good for?
What is
Absolutely
it good for?
nothing.
Nothing.
Say it again. You hit it right on the head, Keith. Nobody's going to side with us when we become isolationist. And that's where we're headed. we need to stay out of that Middle East thing. And I know the fascist in chief is doing his best, at least he says he is, to stay out of it. But at the same time, he turned around and told Iran, you need to capitulate. You need to surrender now. Well, how are you going to tell somebody to surrender who you're not at war with?
Yeah.
I didn't know we were at war with Iran. If the war is between Israel and Iran, then if Netanyahu told them to surrender unconditionally, that's something different.
Exactly.
But no, our president told another country, you need to just surrender or we might bomb you too.
Absolutely.
Whoa.
Right.
And that means that we're in it.
How does he get that authority? How's he gotten any of the authority?
Right.
It's in his head. It should go before.
Oh, yeah. Congress is the person.
Right. Now, it was a bill introduced in Congress that they're trying to stop him on that one. They're trying to say, no, before war, but you don't have to introduce a bill. It's already your responsibility.
Absolutely.
But they want to limit his power to declare a war.
Right.
Well, again, Congress, if you had stepped up earlier to check him, you wouldn't be in this position now to have to introduce a bill to check him.
Right.
No. You already have that power. Just exercise that. Right. Why do we need to keep introducing more bills for a power that you already have? Just do it.
Right.
But no, they won't do it. So, that's why we're in this situation now. And since the world really does not respect Trump, they really don't. I said his name. I didn't mean to do that.
Which means they don't respect the United States.
I'm sorry, say again, Chief?
Which means they don't respect us. Hey.
Correct. I had 2 friends recently that have traveled abroad and come back, and they said the same thing. When it was revealed that they were from the USA, people came over them and started talking to them about, what are you people doing? What's going, why aren't you guys stepping up?
Right.
And he got to the point where one friend, he wouldn't even let him know that he was from the U.S. You know what I mean? He wouldn't, but I mean, you can't help it when you talk.
Right.
He wouldn't go out of his way to, try not to say anything. To not let anybody know that he was from the U.S. If they heard his accent, they would come over and start talking to him. Not that they were blaming him, but they was expressing their concern about what was going on in the U.S. Put it at that. So, no, war is not good. At this point, I think it's inevitable. I don't like it one bit. I don't think anybody does. And like you said, like Tom said, the bomb's already here. They're not going to come flying from overseas.
Right.
No, they're already here.
Right.
It's just a matter of which cells will be activated at what time to do whatever needs to be done to further their goals. They are always enemies of the U.S. And we have people over there, too. Don't get it twisted. Right. We have people over there, too, that can do the same thing. So
absolutely.
Don't get it twisted. There you go. So, that goes both ways. We'll see what happens. But I really do think war is inevitable at this point because fascists always want war. That adds to even more confusion and more devastation. Tom, okay, you all said nobody seems to be saying anything about the bombings and the starvation, especially with Gaza.
Thanks for making it, taking it back to the farm, man.
Yeah. It's not that nobody's saying anything. It's that we in the U.S. aren't hearing it. Turn on your local news.
That's what I was saying.
What do you get now? Right. Local news. You're not hearing, they're drowning out the voices. They're not getting the air time of the people that are saying something. Now, if we're able to get world coverage, you'll hear more people saying something.
Well, that's true, Mike. You're right. Because there was a time that I religiously watched the BBC, or now that I have access to Al Jazeera, I would watch that kind of stuff. But yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right. American media does not cover that stuff to the extent that it should.
Absolutely.
And, yeah, and the BBC doesn't hold back. They tell it like it is, and then Al Jazeera, does the same thing.
Right. Oh, it's good conversation though in terms of just current events with Juneteenth, and it's always good to be aware of what's going on in the world and the shame of what's going on in the world. More importantly, and just because you're a world leader doesn't mean that you can't have passion. And I just, That part really gets to me, that nobody seems to care. When you're advancing your political agenda, that's the only thing that matters, and it's shameful.
Number one, none of us is as smart as all of us. So I'm going to say that again.
Please do.
None of us is as smart as all of us. We all have skills. God gave us all different skills across the board. And nobody can do everything. Great leaders put together the smartest people in the various fields and listen to what they have to say and make an informed decision.
Amen,
from
brother.
the best people, right? Because none of us is smart as all of us.
Right.
Keith has skills I don't have. I have skills Keith don't have. Tom has skills off the board.
Right.
None of us have.
Right.
Tom know what he's doing every time he step on the plane, on the court.
Right.
So none of us is as smart as all of us. Number two, democracy is not a one-off. It's like a machine. It always is going to need maintenance. It's always going to need oil. It's up to each generation to do the maintenance to our democracy to make sure that it continues.
I like that, Mike.
It's the truth. Nothing is I don't know how to say it, is a one-off. We're a democracy now. We don't have to do anything else because the words in the Constitution say we're a democracy. People aren't following those words.
Right.
Democracy takes maintenance, and each generation has to step up and do their part to maintain it. Otherwise, this is what will happen. Right. Otherwise, your democracy will be gone. So going forward, if we're able to get democracy back in a form that we appreciate, that we are familiar with, it's really going to take maintenance. And in order to have that maintenance, we have to teach younger generations what the maintenance is. And that's something that I will say that our generations, not just ours, but last couple of generations in America, this has nothing to do with skin color or anything, in America, did not teach what it takes to maintain democracy. When you don't do that, that's when fascism will creep in. Because if you don't maintain democracy, somebody says, well, I can fix this for you. Somebody else will come in and say, well, you got a problem you want it fixed? Oh, well, I can fix it for you. And they're going to fix it their way.
Right.
And that's what has happened, right? This probably everybody was complaining, oh, democracy is messy. It's this, it's that. Well, yeah, it's not supposed to be neat and tidy. But it worked very well. To America never stopped being great. Right. Democracy never stopped being great.
That's true.
Right. It didn't stop being great. It might not have been great for some people who lost power, but that's part of democracy. Just because you're not in power all the time doesn't mean that you're hated. You know what I mean? Doesn't mean that you won't be in power other times. But democracy means that everybody gets a seat at the table. Everybody gets a chance. Whatever that means. And, for a certain group of people, they didn't like that. Oh, no. And so this time around, when they got in power, they made sure that we're not gonna have it so that, the rest of you can get back in power. They don't like that. Democracy takes maintenance. Freedom takes maintenance. It's up to each generation to continue to do that. And it's up to us to teach each generation what it means and what you have to do that. If it means voting, vote.
Well, that's what I was. That's what I thought you were referring to, Mike. You were referring to either getting involved in politics or be a citizen and vote.
Yeah.
Right. Vote. Yeah. Just participate. In order that, it takes participation.
Yeah.
If we don't participate in democracy, it's gone.
I was going to say, to your point, it was very well said. There's very little I can add to it, but I agree with you by suggesting that we've also become complacent, because with all of the freedoms that we have or we've had, there's a tendency to lean towards complacency, which means that when you're complacent, you don't want to participate. But what people don't realize, to your point, I'm going to simplify it. Just because it doesn't mean it always will be.
Right.
Okay. And I'll say that again. Just because it is today, it doesn't mean that it will always be. Because when they came from England, because of the Tea Party, they made a decision.
We're going back.
Something different. No, but it's all pertinent and relevant. Came up with something they thought for a mixing pot was going to work and was good for everybody. And it's evolved from then to now. How many liberties can you have without having a semblance of control or being able to say, look, we have a constitution that should keep everything organized and in order. Even if you have amendments or local laws or state laws, they kind of are an offshoot, so to speak. But to Mike's point, just because things are going well, if you don't oil it, if you don't put oil in your car, or if you don't make adjustments, it's not going to continue to run the same. Okay.
Right.
And you got to be mindful that you've got to take care of your business. So if democracy is what you're about, you have to understand what democracy is all about. Everybody has a voice. And to Mike's point, 1 year, 2 years, 4 years, 8 years, it may not be that person that you wanted to govern things the way you feel they should be governed, but that's their prerogative. But then if you participate, perhaps you can get an opportunity to swing it back in the other direction so that your point of view can be heard and the types of things that you believe in can be put into effect. Voting is essential. People have to be mindful, and as a country, we get so complacent. And what happened is we allowed all of those representatives to be our voice, which they should be, our active voice, but that doesn't mean we should be silent.
Say that again.
Okay? We are active. That doesn't mean we should be silent. So when you lay back and let somebody speak for you, they may not choose the words that you would choose. They may go off on a tangent in a totally different direction. And so to Mike's point, you put it in such an eloquent way, my friend. I really appreciate that. But the only thing that I could think about to sum it up was, just because things are the way they are, don't mean they will be the way they always will be. So we have to be more active in terms of our participation, and we can't sit on our hands and be complacent.
Right, exactly. It's up to the young. Because we're in our 60s. Our time, it's up to them. It's their world.
Right.
Young people, if you're listening, it's your world.
Absolutely.
You have to step up and do this. This is what we're talking about. Maintenance of democracy is now your responsibility. So if you're between 21 and 40, it is your responsibility to step up and do what's necessary to maintain democracy, whatever that is, whatever that means to you, voting in local events, whatever that is,
PTA, school board, all of it, right? Food banks, whatever that means, do it. Just get involved and do it, and continue on. And you do your part. Everybody does their little part, and it all comes together.
Absolutely.
The rest of us in humanity would appreciate it.
And I might add, even though there was a cutoff in terms of you saying the responsibility has shifted, you're absolutely right. That does not mean that the three of us or anybody in our category turns our head or steps away from being involved in trying to make a difference. But the energy that we'll need, the thought processes, the new thought processes that we need are going to come from people that are much younger than us. But we still have a vested interest in making sure that we maintain what we've always known, which is an active democracy.
Right.
There you go. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right, Mike Miller, Keith Pickens.
Hey, yes, sir.
Another great episode, gentlemen.
It's always good
Thank
chatting
you so
with you
much.
guys.
All right, you guys have a good one. Enjoy
All
your
right,
Juneteenth. To learn more about today's topics, become a subscriber, text us, or become a supporter, go to the show description. That's all the time we've got this week. Thanks for listening. We'll be back next week with the What's Going On podcast.